The Canada Pension Plan Post-Retirement Benefit, PRB as many call it, is a benefit to you if you are someone over the age of 60 that is collecting CPP or QPP, but also working and having to pay into or have the opportunity to pay into CPP while you're already collecting CPP. A lot of you ask this question, how does it work? Do I qualify? Is it worth it? We're going to break that down in this video. You're eligible for the PRB, the Post-Retirement Benefit with your Canadian Pension Plan or QPP, if you're between the ages of 60 and 70 and already collecting your CPP or QPP and you're still working. Now, if you're between the age of 60 and 65, this is a mandatory program. So if you're 62, you've already started collecting your CPP and you still are working, you have to continue to pay into CPP, but you're going to be part of this post-retirement benefit, which will increase your CPP or QPP amount, which I'll get into here in a minute. If you're between the age of 65 and 70, then this PRB option is an optional benefit. And really, if you're below 65, you're forced into it. So it is what it is. You're gonna pay into it, you get out something in the end. But for those of you between 65 and 70, really the question should be, should I contribute to CPP after I've already started collecting it and be part of this PRB program? Or should I take my CPP contributions, opt out of PRB, take that money and invest in myself? What kind of rate of return would I need to get to equal the PRB? So we're gonna break down those details later in this video. Before we jump into the numbers, a few limitations on the PRB is that the PRB cannot be split for income splitting purposes or for credit splitting. So pension sharing or credit splitting within the CPP regulation is not allowed with PRB. So again, it's going to be a smaller amount of your CPP overall, but just keep that in mind as you do planning going forward. Contributions into the PRB is the same as your regular CPP. So there's a maximum amount both for the employer and the employee. If you're self-employed, you're going to be making double payments into this. So it is something that you're paying into, and if you've hit the maximum yearly maximum pensionable earnings, then you will max out that CPP. Now, you're going to get a set amount per month when you start collecting it going forward. So again, as you pay in, you get more out of it every single month. Now the post-retirement benefit is paid the year after contributions are made. So it starts to accumulate almost right away, essentially. So that's something to keep in mind as well. As you pay into it, you start getting a benefit out of it fairly quickly. You don't have to wait till 70 or beyond. It starts to accumulate much quicker. So remember, you start collecting benefits out of it the year following payments into it. So now that we know how the PRB works, if you qualify, how to pay into it, the maximum amount, let's run through the calculations to see how much you get out of it versus doing the investments just on your own. So I took an example of someone that retired at 62 that's going to work till 68. Now I realize that some of these years are mandatory and some are not. But let's just assume these 5 years, it could be from 65 onward, we're taking some years here where we're putting money into the plan. So let's assume you've maxed CPP. So you're making the max yearly pensionable maximum earnings. So you're putting around $37.50 in every single year. Now that's your CPP contribution. Again, your employer's doing roughly the same. It's going to be a bit higher, grow over time. But let's say you put $37.50 in and we put inflation at 3%. So that amount's going to increase over time, but so is your benefit amount. So if we look over the next 6 years of contributions, again from age 62 to 68, you'll see at a 3% inflation rate or growth rate every year of contributions, over those 6 years, you're going to contribute $24,285 into CPP. Again, your employer is going to put the same amount in. Now, if we took that same amount and looked at, based on that amount going in, how much would we expect to get coming out? Again, these aren't exact numbers because we don't know what inflation and things can change over time. But again, general overall, the numbers that we're able to work with right now, we'd see that our monthly addition to our CPP would be roughly $222 a month. So based on 6 extra years into the PRB, we can expect out at the end of it all to collect $222. Again, $34, $35, $36, $37, $38, $39 every month, compounding over time. You're getting about $222 on a monthly basis, growing, again, going forward, based on inflation. So that equates to just under $2,700 a year of additional payments from CPP to you because you participated in the post-retirement benefit plan. Now, what happens if we took those exact same amounts that you were to put into CPP and you put it into an investment and earn, after fees and everything, on average 5% annually on that investment. So again, starting with about $3,750, increasing by 3%, and earning 6% on that investment every year. At the end of 6 years, we would have $31,087. So just a hair over $31,000. So fast forward 6 years, instead of having that continuous payment from CPP, again, guaranteed, adjusted to inflation, we have a bucket of money. Now, if we took that bucket of money and started drawing money off of it, how much could we generate if we kept earning that 6% rate of return and assume a life expectancy of age 90? Based on $31,000, 6% rate of return, and about 22 years to draw money out of that account, we're going to be able to draw about $2,200 on an annual basis. So there you have it. If you took your money and invested it at 6% rate of return, it would generate roughly $2,200 a year of extra income. Now, if we took that same amount of money and invested in the CPP, we'd have much more, $2,600, almost $2,700 on an annual basis. Again, more money, about $500 every single year, and we don't have to worry about getting that 6% rate of return. It's indexed to inflation, it's secure, it's there. So a lot of protection there. Again, if you're self-employed and you're paying double, obviously the numbers run a little bit different for you. But if you're an employee and your employer is gonna match that other percentage, the post-retirement benefit financially makes a lot of sense. So for those of you wondering, should I be participating in the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan Post-Retirement Benefit? The answer would be yes. And again, it's mandatory pre-65. So if you're already collecting CPP or QPP, this is going to be a mandatory program. But from 65 onward, you could turn that off. But it's kind of a forced savings program that provides a really nice rate of return as far as cash flow goes. Again, because your employer is putting money in as well, that's compounding your money more, giving you a bigger cash flow for retirement when you need it. So hopefully this clarifies who qualifies, if you should qualify, and kind of the rough numbers on does it make sense or not. I encourage you to run your individual numbers with your financial planner. Again, the post-retirement benefit is not part of the original 40 years. It's above and beyond. There's no cap to it. So if you look at, well, my maximum CPP is this that you can collect, the post-retirement benefit is above and beyond. There's no maximum to that. So if you've hit, and I've met a lot of people that said, Adam, I've kind of hit my max CPP already. I'm only 61 years old. Should I take it and then participate in the post-retirement benefit? Again, these are things that you can run with your financial planner to see what makes the most sense based on your situation. Everyone's situation is very different. But when we look at raw data, sometimes we have to look at individual data like this of, I'm going to save roughly, let's call it $4,000 a year. I can either put it into CPP through my work or save it on my own, which makes the most sense. Based on the data, the cash flow, and underlying metrics, I would say the CPP post-retirement benefit is the best choice for you. So again, work through this with your financial planner, but hopefully this gives you some clarity going forward as you make this decision.